Hello everyone, my name is Jose Avalos. I'm an associate level designer community at Avalanche Software, and in this tutorial we will talk about the Locator, another one of the new Creativi-toys we've made for Disney Infinity 2.0, and one of my personal favorites. You can think of the Locator as the Swiss Army knife of Creativi-toys. It can be associated with many different Creativi-toys and used at different kind of many different uses. So I just opened up the ribbon, and this is the Locator, and the information it says: surprise other players with enemies, allies, or even new tools by connecting toys to the Locator. So for example, in the first Disney Infinity, you could make an enemy generator, and whenever players saw it, they knew, okay, this is where enemies are going to appear from. But if you can connect it to a Locator, you can actually surprise the players. So we will take a look at some of the different Creativi-toys that actually can be associated with the Locator. If a Creativi-toy has new Locator connection, it can be attached to a Locator. So let's get started. For that, let's put first a Locator around here. And this is a really useful thing to know, is that whenever you place a Locator into the world, it will always be facing you. So, for example, if I place it in here, you can see that it's got this like blue star, and you can see this light blue tip. This is basically, if you spawn an enemy, the enemy will be looking in that direction. So it's always, when you place a new Locator into the world, it's going to be facing the player. So let's get started. First, let's put a toy that, instead of Creativi-toys, is in the platforming toys, which is it is a whirlwind. The whirlwind, it can launch players up, so by default it launches players forward. But here's the funny thing: we can attach it to a Locator. So I select the whirlwind, and we can see new Locator connection. If a Creativi-toy has new Locator connection, it means that it can be attached to a Locator, and it can do many fun things. So for example, if I select it here with the Locator, it will say target location. And now here's the fun thing: you can see all the different leaves are aiming towards the Locator, and if I step in here, I'm gonna finish up straight in the Locator itself. So for example, if I wanna make the player straight towards the roof of the building, let's say if I put this baby right here. In fact, Locators don't have any collision at all. And now I step on the whirlwind, I'm gonna be propelled straight to the rooftop. So as you can see, the use that the whirlwind and the Locator in and of itself, it has plenty of really cool uses. Alright, so that was it for the whirlwind, and now let's take a look at the weather vane, which you can see it's like a gust of wind that will pull everything, in this case, since it's part of the properties, in the direction of the arrow. In fact, I used this toy in Remote Bowling HD to push the ball around. By default, it's going to be pushing everything in this direction, but we can make a Locator connection. So new Locator connection, I'm going to select this Locator, which is right on top of the weather vane, and it says force direction. And as you can see, now it's pushing up. So if I make this strong enough, for example, by default, it's like force 10, but let's make it, for example, 30 or even 40, just for fun. And I turn this on by stepping onto this trigger. So new launch connection, stepped on any, and I turn this on with the weather vane. Now, as you can see, it's pushing up, and if I jump, I can jump way higher than normal. So if you want to have a level with low gravity, this is how you do it. You make the weather vane really strong, and you connect it to a Locator, which is right on top of it. So that's another cool use we can have for the weather vane with the Locator. Alright, now the next toy that we're going to be seeing is the Challenge Maker, which you can do for many things. So I will place this around, and here's the beautiful thing that you can do with the Challenge Maker. So we select new Locator connection, and we can select the Locator, and we can do it so players 1, through 4, or even where you end up the challenge, it ends up in this direction. So for example, if I put player 1 start location, let's start the challenge. So by default, start challenge, and as you can see, instead of starting in the challenge maker, which is the default, I start at the locator connection, so a location. So this is another way in which you can do it, so different players can start in different parts of the map. For example, for a King of the Hill game, or a race, or what have you. So this is another cool use for the locator. In fact, I need to... Alright, next up is the falling object generator. As you can see, this toy can be used for throwing bowling balls, mines, etc. So let's do this by activating it with this trigger. So when I stepped on it, this falling object generator is going to throw, in this case, a bowling ball. So you can see the bowling ball appears right from underneath the falling object generator. But what happens if I don't want to see this toy in the level, like all these black and blue base? What if I just want to appear the bowling ball from out of nowhere? So for that case, we're gonna do from the falling object generator, we will do a new locator connection. We will select this locator right here, and as you can see, we can say generation location. So now, instead of appearing the bowling ball from the falling object generator, it will spawn right here where the locator is. So let's generate the bowling ball. As you can see, the bowling ball appears right at the location of the locator. So this is another great use of the locator, in this case for spawning mines, bowling balls, boulders, what have you. Next up is the object generator. So this one, if you remember in Infinity 1, this can be used to spawn treasures, weapons, lightsabers, etc. So let's take it. So for example, when I step on it, I'm gonna generate like a sword. So for that, object generator, I'm gonna give a pack, and I'm gonna give I'm gonna give them Buzz Lightyear's jetpack. So by default, the object generator will generate the object straight where the base is. But if I don't want to see the base in the level, I can use the locator as well. So for that, for example, let's select the object generator, and you can see new locator connection. So for that, I will select the locator, which is located right here, and it says generation location. So now if I generate again the object, instead of appearing right here on the base, it will appear right at the locator location. So let's try it out. Now, as you can see, the jetpack appears in the middle, floating in the air. So right now, you don't depend, the player doesn't need to see this base in order to generate new cool objects. So this is another neat use for it. Now, these two are gonna work the same way. The friend generator, the enemy generator, and the vehicle weapon generator. So I'm just gonna delve in only one of these. For example, the enemy generator. This is a great use because usually when you played levels in the toy box in the first Infinity and you saw one of these, you already knew, okay, an enemy is gonna appear from this part. But if I say, for example, right now from here, from the enemy generator, new locator connection, I select the locator here, and it will say generation location. Just like in the falling object generator and the object generator, the enemy will spawn at the location of the locator. So let's take it, so whenever I step on this super trigger, new logic connection, stepped on any, and I will select the enemy generator, and I will put, in this case, I will select an enemy from Avengers, a random enemy. So now, if I stop in here, the enemy is not going to appear in here anymore, and instead it's going to appear here. Okay, so now that the enemy is, we know that it's going to appear here, let's check it out. So for example, new logic connection, stepped on any, and I'm gonna generate a random enemy. In this case, I will just put a random fodder enemy. So if I select it, As you can see, the enemy, I spawn one of the little house cards, and it appeared from the location of the locator. So now, just need to defeat it. Sorry, but these guys are no match for Thor. Okay, Thor, we know you're powerful. It works the same way for the friend generator and the vehicle weapon generator, so I'm not going to delve too much into those two toys, but they work in the same way as the enemy generator. So as you can see, the locator is also a neat way of ambushing the player if you want to do that in your levels. So next toy, it's the vehicle summoner. That should be somewhere around here. It's right here. My bad. This toy is actually used for creating either vehicles or mounts. So for example, let's do it. So for example, new logic connection, stepped on any, and I'm gonna generate a random mount. A random vehicle. So I step on it, and as you can see, it usually appears on this location where the shield logo is. But if I don't want to see the shield logo because it, for example, doesn't make sense, let's take it. So I select, first I need to get rid of the horse. So I'm sorry, horsey, but I need to delete you. And now I select the vehicle summoner, and I put new locator connection. I select the locator, and it says generation location in the same way that it's worked with the object generator, friend generator, enemy generator. The mount will appear right here at the location of the locator. So now you can see that Thor has this cool motorcycle that can do fun stuff. So again, another fantastic use of the locator. Okay, this is another one of the best uses of the locator. It is the effects generator. Basically, it allows you to spawn particles like explosions, etc. This one is incredibly cool. So by default, if I step on this trigger, I'm just gonna generate an explosion. So let's say new logic connection, stepped on any, and I will do a big explosion. So for that, I'm just gonna play once, and I'm gonna say large explosions and a bomb explosion. By default, if you don't select it to a locator, it will generate the particle at the location of the toy itself. But we can do many locator connections in here. So for example, I can select it in here with a locator, and now if I press the trigger again, instead of doing the explosion at the location of the effects generation, it will do it at the location of the locator. So as you can see, now the explosion is where the locator is. And this is the cool thing. Let's say that instead of doing one explosion, I want to do 3 explosions. Now, common wisdom would say, okay, put 3 effects generator, each one of them connected to a locator. But here's the cool thing about the effects generator. It can be associated with many different locators. So, for example, I can do again another new locator connection, and I select this one, effects location, and same thing for the third one. I'm sorry, new locator connection, and I'll select this third one right here, effects location, and now instead of seeing 1 explosion, we will see 3. See? 3 different explosions. There can be many locators connected to the effects generator. So this is really a cool toy that makes a great use of the locator. Now let's do the enemy generator, enemy wave generator, and friendly wave generator. We will only do this for the enemy wave generator because the friendly wave generator works exactly the same way. And just like the effects generator, it can be associated with many locators. So for example, if I select this right here, spawn location, and now I will do 2 more. Or just 1 more. It's not really necessary. So again, I select it, new locator connection, and I put this one here. And now let's configure the wave. So let's say configure wave, add new, and now I'm just gonna put 1 soldier of clubs and 1 soldier of hearts. So now when I step into this trigger, I'm gonna generate the wave. So new logic connection, stepped on any, and I will select the enemy wave generator. So I'll generate the wave. As you can see, I generate the first card at the location of the first locator and this one at the second. Now, the reason why they both appeared in the same locator is because by default, the enemy wave generator generates the enemies into the it looks for random locators. So that's why they both appeared in the same place. Alright, next up is the target camera. Now, this target camera usually can be used to follow either the player or any other object from an unconventional position that is not isometric, which is the angle camera, top-down, bird's-eye camera, or side-scrolling. So if you want, for example, a more angled camera, side than the angle camera, you can use this. In fact, this is what I use in Remote Bowling HD to follow the ball around. But you can also use this to create establishing shots. So basically we can tell the target camera, hey, focus on a specific locator. So for that, I will select the target camera and go, okay, new locator connection. I will select this second locator in here and I will say camera target. So now if I go into the properties of the target camera and I select, okay, properties, and I will select camera target, by default it selects all the players. But if I put connected locator and I activate the camera, which I will do with this trigger, so new logic connection, stepped on any, and activate. Let's look at what happens. As you can see, now the camera from its position, it will try to focus on the second locator. So that is why you can do establishing shots or other things. For example, if you want to tell a story within your level by doing establishing shot of your level, once upon a time there was a land. So this is another neat use of the locator. And finally, a really important use that we can do for this. This is for doors. As you can see, this is the toy box door that can communicate with different levels. As you can see, I have this different doors, and let's take a look at the locator. It says in properties, door destination tag. This means that whenever you enter this particular world in which I am, if I go through a door, okay, and finally, another important use of the locator is to determine spawn positions when you appear in a level when you go through a door. So for example, let's go now to an interior. Okay, here we are in the interior, and this door will connect back to the level where we have been doing this tutorial the whole time. So let's do properties, and you can see destination toy box. Toy box is the exterior level, and this is destination locator tag. You can set it up to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or none. Basically, this means that when I go back to the toy box level, or the level where we've been all along, the door will take a look at all the different locators there are in the level, and will ask to each of them, okay, is your tag 1? And if the tag is 1, it will spawn the player in that position and facing in the direction of the set locator. So if we go back to the exterior, you can see that we appear right in the front of the door instead of the default location, and this is because this locator, which has this orientation, we can see that in the properties it says door destination tag 1. So when I went from the interior to the exterior, it looked at all the different locators and asked, okay, is your tag 1? Okay, if the tag is 1, it will spawn the player in this location and looking in this direction. And that's how really you can make the player spawn from a door in a different direction, or close to the door, or at a location that makes sense. And that's really it, how the locator works. As you can see, it can be used for many, many, many different creativity toys. And right now, I'm just scratching the surface of the different uses it can have. So this toy is amazing. And well, this has been it for this tutorial. I hope you found it useful. And if you have any questions, please let me know in the comments or in the forums. And well, thanks for watching.